All right, we are back. You just heard the trailer for the CBS show, The Equalizer, which is the Leadout show after the Super Bowl. Join me today, talk a little about Super Bowl Leadout, history of it. The great Alan Austin is here. Alan, how are you?
I'm good, Mike. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I got to say, we're talking a lot about the big game this week and the past 2 weeks on the podcast, so I wouldn't be remiss not to ask you, what do you think about this matchup?
I mean, it's pretty great. I think there's only been one professional pundit who's looked down upon it. Everyone I've talked to, everything I've seen is just pure excitement, and I'm on that. I'm on that train, the excitement train.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of I think the Packers would have been fun too if they got here, but we have an all-time great quarterback matchup. We have a lot of storylines that are at this game. I think there's just so much potential here for incitement.
Oh my goodness! And the Packers, great team, but there's just so many more characters on the Buccaneers. I mean, on both sides of the ball. Ndamukong Suh, JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, who's having a monster season, which as a Giant fan, I actually love seeing. I always root for him. You've got Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski. The list goes on and on. And then you have the Chiefs on the other side with Patty Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. It's just and Le'Veon Bell is now going to the Super Bowl to face Antonio Brown. All these mini storylines, just so much excitement.
It really is, and it's lots of big games. I know you made your pick in the blog post for this. That's going to be up online just in the suffering.wordpress.com. So if you want to check out everybody's Super Bowl challenge picks, those are going to be up there. But we're here today to talk about some of the stuff that happens after the game, and we talk about the history of the Leadout program at the Super Bowl, which is obviously every network that gets the Super Bowl, they put a primetime show on after the game. And this year, CBS is debuting a brand new show called The Equalizer. We just played the trailer here. Alan and I have both seen it. Alan, did you get excited at all by this trailer?
I actually thought it was a really well put together trailer. Great song choice, great music. It gave you a feel of the character that Queen Latifah will be playing. It's just not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. I probably won't be watching, at least not right after the Super Bowl. Just kind of, I'd be interested to see if it's going to have a through line or if it's just going to be episode by episode, a new case, so to speak, Law and Order style. If it's a through line with like a season arc, I'd be more inclined to watch.
Yeah. Were you familiar with either the movies that came before this or the original TV show from the 70s that this is based off of?
I'm going to be honest with you, I've never seen any incarnation of The Equalizer.
Yeah, because I got to say, I know in the movies it's a male character. This is a female-led reboot, and the trailer, you're right, the trailer looked interesting, but to me, I'm probably not going to watch it after the game. I will probably wait to see what people say about it, because for me, I feel like it's an odd thematic choice for after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. For me, I think when I think post-Super Bowl, I want to personally see something light. I don't want to see something I'm going to have to fully invest in and concentrate on, because as a sports fan, post Super Bowl, you're coming down from a high in a way. You don't want to sit and, get bogged down with this hardcore drama. And that's just my personal view. So I'd rather see something light, almost fluffy.
Yeah. Plus, if you're at those parties, I don't know how many people are going to parties this year because of the pandemic, but in the past, you go to the party, you had some drinks, you're really going to be paying super close attention to the deep brooding crime drama after the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not. And to be honest with you, it's been a while. We'll get into it, but it's been a long time since I've actually watched the Leadout program after the Super Bowl, just because I've been in a group of people every year for the Super Bowl, and afterwards, people head home, people say their goodbyes, people hang out. And when I lived on the West Coast, it's just the party continues, and no one's going to sit and watch the Leadout program. So it's got to be something lighter than a heavy drama.
Yeah. So what is the last one you remember that you watched after the Super Bowl? What's the last show you remember that came on? You're I'm going to watch after this game and make sure to stick around for this.
It would be 2009, The Office, the stress relief 1 hour special.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, and being that I was a huge Office fan at the time, I went out of my way to be like, I'm watching this. This is what I'm doing after the Super Bowl. I want to see this episode. Prior to that, the last one I can recall is a Family Guy pilot of 1999. I was at a friend's house at a party. I was kind of I don't want to say shy, but it was late. I was a little bit younger. I think I was 10, and it came on the TV. Nobody was watching. I was sitting there watching just because I was like there. You know what I mean? So I would say that before The Office, it would be the debut of Family Guy.
Yeah, my last one I actually made a time to watch after Super Bowl was after the overtime Super Bowl in 2016, 24 Legacy on Fox, because I was a big 24 guy back in the day, and this is the reboot. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. And then this one, I think, was probably I think it's the lowest rated program, I think, in the post Super Bowl era, I think, since like Alias in 2003, because I think they got screwed by the overtime. And then the show itself was not good. Like, there were a lot of problems with 24 Legacy, and it got canceled after one season. So that just tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's rough. I'm looking at I think that was 2017.
Yeah, 2017. I think it was 16 season. That's what I was confused about.
Oh, okay. It's always confusing with the Super Bowl and the years. That's why I think people are more inclined to use the numbers, but for sure. I mean, I'm looking at the list, and the highest rated of all time would be Friends, and that was season 2 Friends. So that's quite a testament to the Friends legacy, I'd have to say. That should be something on their Hall of Fame resume that they're not touting quite enough.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the history of the Leadout program, because obviously in the past, in the first, I want to say like 20-something Super Bowls, this was not a big deal about what going out. There's a lot of 60 Minutes in there. There's a lot of pilots for shows. I mean, you had some famous shows in there. I mean, the first episode of The Wonder Years came out of the Super Bowl. You have the A-Team came after the debut after the Super Bowl, but there's a lot of whiffs in there, and the rock bottom for this thing came in 1995 at Super Bowl 29. ABC put out a pilot for this show called Extreme, which the plot was basically a search and rescue team operating a Bell 204B Super Huey helicopter in the Rocky Mountains of Utah. Show basically chronicles the rescue team. This thing was an epic flop, and it got canceled after, I think, like 6 episodes. So this was sort of the turning point where they said, we got to put like established stuff on here more often.
I mean, I can see that, and this had a killer cast. James Brolin, Julie Bowen, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. So the show, I've never even heard of it before we did research for this discussion. So it must be just awful.
Yeah, it did not last very long. There were 7 unaired episodes of the show. They got a 13 episode order. They didn't air the last 6. It just got so bad in the ratings.
Wow. Yeah, I think the established choice is better. People want to see something they're familiar with. They just want something to digest the Super Bowl in the background. They don't want to. I mean, I'm looking here, 1993, Homicide: Life on the Street, the pilot. That's the last thing I want to watch after a Super Bowl. And imagine if your favorite team lost in the Super Bowl and you're going to watch a show called Homicide: Life on the Street. I mean, it just doesn't feel like a fit to me.
Yeah, I think there's basically 2 theories I've seen how this plays out, which is usually either option A, which is let's take one of our hits shows, put it on after the Super Bowl, try and supercharge an audience for it and have it be a big hit going forward, which can work. Sometimes it doesn't work. We'll talk about that. But the other option is we have this pilot we're excited about, and we're going to put it on after the game. We have this big audience. Maybe we draw an audience to the show. So this is basically the difference between like the Equalizer approach and the Friends approach. So I think, which one do you like better?
Well, I see both sides of the coin. When, let's say it's not Super Bowl and you have a new sitcom that you want to debut, you're going to put it on after your established show. The Super Bowl is the most established show in American pop culture. So by that rationale, I get it. I just don't think it works necessarily. I'm going to say go with an established show that's in its prime and just force feed a special episode or something like that post Super Bowl to get the ratings. Because if you look at a lot of these are themed around football. All these like shows.
Yep.
So there's a precedent for it. And I think that's the way to go personally.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go myself too. If I was a TV executive, I want to say, I have a show that did pretty well its first year, second year, like I have the slot. Let me put a special themed episode on afterwards, see if they can draw a more general audience to it. And then they'll either go back and watch the old ones, they'll stick around and keep going forward. I think that's the way I would play it.
So if I were CBS right now, I would take a show like The Neighborhood and have Max Greenfield and Cedric the Entertainer have a Super Bowl special where they have a Super Bowl party episode. I would make it its own thing and have that follow the Super Bowl. That's what I would do if I was CBS.
Yeah, because CBS, I think there were a couple of ways to go. So I'll give my thoughts later on, but I would not have gone this route. There were a couple other ways I would have gone.
For sure. The Equalizer might be one of the, and this is no knock on the program and all the people that have worked on it and have put their heart and soul into it. I think post Super Bowl is not the way to kick this off.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Let's take a look here. We'll go through some networks here. We'll go since 95, since after the Extreme flop. We'll take a look at some of the strategies here and see how these networks have done. This is where you go by the 4 broadcast networks who had Super Bowls. ABC only had 3 in that span. NBC's had fewer. Fox, CBS had the most. But we'll start with NBC, who is in the rotation right now. They've not had it because they're supposed to be their year this year. They flip-flop with CBS. They wanted to get the lead into the Winter Olympics in 22. So NBC, as you said, pointed out, they started out with the Friends in 96. They won out the Super Bowl. That was the highest rated post-Super Bowl program, over nearly 53 million viewers. Then a couple of years after that, they had Third Rock from the Sun, 2-part episode. Then they had the hiatus till 2009. They come back with The Office, the 2-parter stretch release that you watched. They had the season debut of The Voice one year. They brought The Blacklist in a prime episode. And then a couple of years ago, the last one they did was the season 2 episode of This Is Us, where we find out how Jack died in the past. So I think strong lineup from NBC.
And NBC may have had Friends may be the highest rated, but the This Is Us play. Now there's a drama after the Super Bowl, but with a hook that is surely to bring in the viewers. That is the smartest play we've discussed so far. The This Is Us big character reveal that everyone has been talking about. To put that on after the Super Bowl, pure genius.
Yeah, and this is a show that fits in that sweet spot where I like, where it's like, it had a big first season with season 2, and then they said, hey, give us a special Super Bowl episode and put a big reveal in to hook the audience. They did a great job with that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers, 26.98 million viewers. It's not the highest number. I'd say it's pretty middle of the pack, but post Super Bowl at 10:45 p.m. Eastern time, not too shabby.
No, not too shabby. I think it's still the highest rated episode of the series at this point.
Well, there you go. And that's a very successful series.
Yeah. Let's go to ABC and let's give them in terms of a grade for them, I think they get an A from me.
I would second that.
Okay. ABC only has 3 offerings in this time period. We will go back first to 1990, actually 2000, when they got the Super Bowl. They had The Practice, an episode of that on. 2003 was Alias, only drew 17 million viewers. Again, they had one of the latest starts at 11:15 p.m. because for some reason they had, I think, a post-game John Bon Jovi concert after that one, but before they did that. And then they did Grey's Anatomy in their last Super Bowl, and that one drew 37 million viewers. I think it was in season 2 of Grey's Anatomy, and supercharged that show. So I think that one saves the grade a little bit.
Sure, and if you don't want to count Extreme, if we're giving them a pass on Extreme, I'd say they get a C+.
Yeah. I think they get I think the Grey's Anatomy thing saves it a lot because, that show, was fine. They got the Super Bowl slot. They get 37 million viewers. They're still on the air today, and that aired in 2006. That says a lot.
Sure. I would say that earns the C+. Otherwise, the other 17 million viewers for Alias and The Practice, very, very lackluster. So I would say that brings it up to a C+ for me, and I get it. The Grey's Anatomy thing is quite impressive.
Yeah, and it's tough sell. I think B- for me. I think that saves it. The Practice, I understood. Alias, they got screwed a little bit because of the late start to that, but not an inspired choice there.
No, and only 3 to choose from.
Yeah,
and we're giving them a pass on Extreme when we used Friends for NBC. So I think they get a C+, and they should be very happy with that.
Well, we started right after Extreme. Friends is the first one on the bracket we're doing
here. Okay. And in that case, I'm sticking with my C+, but a little more slack cut to ABC.
All right, let's go to Fox now, because Fox had it last year. They started their first Super Bowl in 1997. They had an episode of The X-Files. Then we had, as you mentioned, the Family Guy Simpsons combo platter, Malcolm in the Middle, a 2-parter. We had The Simpsons debuting into American Dad, House, Glee, A New Girl, Brooklyn Nine-Nine combo, the aforementioned 24 Legacy, and last year, The Masked Singer, if their first episode of season 3, I believe, and I think it's a pretty mixed bag. But I feel like Masked Singer last year was a good choice.
Masked Singer is a perfect choice for post Super Bowl fare. I think they have a lot of hits and misses, like you said, mixed bag. I'm going to give them a B.
Yeah. I think it's a B. I like what they did where they would take like the one, especially the sitcom approach, they take the one hit sitcom and try and launch another one after it. I think that's a smarter way to do it than say, okay, like here's random drama pilot. Hope you stick around and like it.
For sure. And House is a questionable choice, but House is light enough and is like not bogged down too bad. So I'm fine with that. Simpsons is like a fail safe. I mean, they didn't even draw big numbers for The Simpsons. It's just it's almost like a very easy route that Fox has taken over the years. And then the few risks they took didn't always pan out.
I also think the Glee choice is also a great choice for post Super Bowl. That's a nice light fare and very fun to get you into have some fun after the game.
Absolutely. And like I said, a safe choice. I'm good with Glee there. It's a B. I could be swayed to a B plus, but I'm going to stick with B.
I think a B plus, and I get the 24 legacy thing. I know it's an established brand of 24 at that point. The problem was obviously without Kiefer having the uneven plot in that episode, did not do a good job getting people to stick around for it. And that one started at, like, as I said, very, very late because of the overtime, and that really killed it.
Did you watch this show?
I did.
And how was it?
It did not do well. It was not good.
Okay. You said that earlier. I just wanted to get back into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not good. There were a lot of the problems that 24 had sort of resurfaced in the show. I mean, the casting was great, but there were a lot of times they didn't know what to do with half the people they had on the show, and then they made a desperate plea to get like classic viewers back by bringing in, I think, like Carlos Bernard's Tony Almeida character, bring him back into the mix, and it's a very mixed bag, and I understood why they canceled it.
Fair enough. B plus. I'm good with those grades.
Okay. Now we'll get to the fun, which is CBS, and they've had a really bad run of late.
I mean, what catches my eye off the bat is running a Stephen Colbert episode with a bunch of big guests, but that is just like, what fun is that? There's zero fun in that. It's just, let's throw on our guy with a bunch of like famous people, and we'll, do the hand wipe emoji and get on with our day. It's just so boring of a choice, regardless of how good the talk show was that evening. That's the first thing that jumps out to me, and it's just kind of like, a soggy spaghetti.
Yeah, so let's go down the list here at CBS. They start out, they get the 2001 Super Bowl slot. Survivor the Australian Outback, drew 45 million viewers. I mean, you had to do that. It was like right after Survivor 1 was a big deal. That was supercharged the show, and the show's still on the air, so good job from that one. 2004, Survivor All-Stars. That also makes sense because you're bringing back all the big characters the first 7 seasons of the show. Got 33 million viewers. Good job there. The turning point for me, Super Bowl 46. They put Criminal Minds on after the game, and that one I was like, literally, I just did not understand the logic of that choice because it's a brutally dark and depressing show, and I was sitting there, when I heard that decision was made, I really sat there and just went, what the hell's going on
out here? Yeah, and the aptly titled episode, The Big Game, it just doesn't fit. It's just entirely off in all ways.
Now, I mean, it drew 26 million viewers, and Criminal Minds did last until about last year, so I guess it helped, but the thematic fit was not there. Because remember, I was mad at the time. I was a How I Met Your Mother fan, and that was right in that slot of, okay, young show. They had a perfect football-themed episode. They had, like, a whole Super Bowl-driven plot, and they had Emmitt Smith guest starring in the episode, and they had a perfect spot there for it, and they chose not to use it.
Lame. I would have went with that 100 times out of 100. And the 26 million viewers, pretty good, but it's just like you said, it's a head-scratcher.
Yeah, because this episode, remember this, the plot is so fun because it's literally like they talk about the gang like has a big Super Bowl party every year, and then there's a funeral at the night of the big games. They're all trying to avoid it the next day to watch it together, and then we have all these shenanigans ensue, and Barney's like trying to like find out like how he bet and not like give it away, all sorts of crazy shenanigans.
Yeah, missed opportunity for sure.
That's that one. Then the next one they do Elementary, which is a completely average show, and I think it was like pretty deep into its run at that point. I'm like, I didn't understand why they went there either.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to stick something there that they wanted to do well in a position, regardless of how it was going to perform, and it didn't perform too great.
Yeah, it did. It got 20 million viewers, which is one of the lower ones to this point.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. Then we get the Colbert thing, which I get. They had, like, I think Colbert had lost the year before and said, let's try and get bigger attention. But for me, like, could you just do that to the late local news? Could you have put a different show on than had him be on at like 11:30?
Yeah, there was no, like I said, it was like a lame choice. There's no separating the Super Bowl from a regular weeknight at that point.
No, it made no sense. And some of the guests they had on there, I mean, Tina Fey, Margot Robbie, Will Ferrell, Megyn Kelly, Michael Key and Peele is nice, but like anybody on that list at that point really stuck out to you. Was like, oh, I got to stick around and watch them on Colbert.
Not after a Super Bowl, no.
No, that's like a superstar like every night lineup, but like for post Super Bowl, you could have shot higher.
Yeah, at least get some football personalities on there.
Yeah,
I mean, like missed the boat.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't get. I'm trying to think of like who the appropriate guy would be. I mean, like you couldn't have gotten. You want to say like I think it's the year after Peyton Manning retired. You couldn't have gotten him.
Yeah, I mean, even if you bring somebody like a true character, like a Joe Namath type, or Michael Irvin, always an entertaining interview. You can't get someone like that. Come on.
Yeah, and then this one I forgot about was 2019. They launched a reality show, The World's Best, which I'm going to read the description here. It was a reality talent competition series. It featured international performers being evaluated by 3 judges: Drew Barrymore, RuPaul, Faith Hill, hosted by James Corden, and this thing was one and done.
Yeah, I vaguely remember the trailers. I remember thinking, didn't they do something in the trailers like a dog? There was like a dog balancing a ball or juggling or doing flips. I don't know. It was something. I remember seeing the trailer and go, oh, I'm never going to watch that.
Yeah. And again, like it was a flop. Like post Super Bowl slot, it got 22 million people, which is nothing.
Right. So a big, big flop.
Yeah, so I think for them, they're getting a solid D from me in their choices.
I will second that. Not a good run.
The only reason they don't fail is because they had the 2 Survivor slots, and those were both good choices at the time.
Yeah, the Survivors saved the day for them, but not in our view. Not in the grand scheme of things.
No, like if we had stopped grading of 2004, they would have had an A+.
For sure, they would have. If they kept that momentum going, hands down, the best network at figuring out what to do. But I mean, unfortunately, the Equalizer is just going to add to that grade, I feel. And do you have a prediction of how many viewers it's going to pull in?
I'm going to say low 20s.
Now, I'm going to give them a break here because there are less Super Bowl parties this year. So there are more people who are just going to leave the TV running at their house and kind of just see what's on. I'm going to say 25.
Yeah, that's pushing Masked Singer area. I feel like it's a high.
It might be high. It's a bold choice. It's something I'm not putting too much stock in, so I'm just going to go out there and say 25.
The other thing that bothers me about CBS's choice is they've had so many big shows in this time span that they didn't bother putting on a Super Bowl post Super Bowl slot. Like we never got the Big Bang Theory post Super Bowl. We never got like NCIS post Super Bowl. Like they've had big hits, they just never used them.
Well, clearly there's an executive there who just sees the Super Bowl as a chance to launch a new show with the lead in and it's the lead out, and it's just not clicking most of the time.
Yeah, because like I think a Big Bang Theory episode would have killed.
Yeah, I mean, and they also had big success. You know what? I'm going to bump their grade up to a C because Undercover Boss did big numbers as well.
Yeah, well, I think that was the one where they did okay, and they're like, oh, we can launch stuff. We're gonna do that from now on.
Yeah, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I'm going to bump it up to C. 38 million viewers is really great. So I'm giving them kudos. They've had a lot of hits and some really head scratchers. So I'm going C final grade for
CBS. I'm still sticking with the D because that doesn't help me that much because like I just like you said, there's too many missed opportunities here because they've had big hit after big hit on that show. They were the number one watch network for about like a decade, and none of their big shows made the post Super Bowl slot.
Very, maybe they got cocky about it. Maybe they thought whatever we throw up, people will watch.
Yeah, get another one of that Criminal Minds slot there. Like the NCIS would have been a good pick there too, because that show was really like rising at that point. You could have really like jet charged that if you put a good episode on for the Super Bowl.
Sure. I mean, to me, it's still in the vein of why would I sit down and watch this drama? But I get what you're saying. It was hot. You want to capitalize on that momentum, but it seems like they just want to do things their way.
Yeah, and that show, like at that point, it's not your typical like crime drama where you have like a lot of quirky characters. You'll have like goofy like dynamics between them, and like you could have a fun case in there and show the characters' interactions and say, oh, I want to watch these guys on a weekly basis.
Yeah, you could definitely throw a lighthearted episode in for sure.
Yeah, so now we get back to what they could have done this year. I mean, Equalizer, I feel like it's an average choice. It's like, okay, we have this new show. We have Queen Latifah in it, so we have a star. It's got some action. I think it's a meh choice. Like, they could have done better.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would have stuck The Neighborhood in there or something way lighter and just kind of rolled with that. To put the Equalizer on, it's like, I just watched a shootout, which I think it's going to be between the Bucks and the Chiefs, the high emotion, high energy. And now I'm going to reset myself and get invested in this new drama with a heavy theme
concept,
and it's just not clicking for me.
Yeah, I think I have two options. I think here. Number one is what you did is do a sitcom doubleheader, like put Young Sheldon on, then lead into The Neighborhood, and have that sort of be your bang for your buck there.
That's a good one. And it's unfair of me to judge Equalizer because I'm sure it's going to be a quality program. I'm just not much of an action type person, so it doesn't speak to me in that sense either.
Yeah, number two, this is what I'm surprised they didn't take, considering their luck with the reality in the past. I think if you want to supercharge a show, they have a new cycle of Tough as Nails coming out on next Wednesday on the 10th. Like, you couldn't put the first episode on after the Super Bowl and say, hey guys, look at this. We got these essential workers. It's a heartwarming show. Fits kind of thematically after the Super Bowl, and say, you know what, like, here's episode 1, episode 2's on Wednesday. Like, watch and see what happens.
That's another great option. And I think in the time of COVID, in the land of respecting and appreciating first responders and people who are there on the front line, you do a Tough as Nails, you get people invested, and they care about the people on the show. For sure, great choice.
That's where I would have gone, because I would have said this is the right thematic fit. We're bringing we're bringing vaccinated healthcare workers to Super Bowl, giving them free tickets there. Let's show a little appreciation for some of America's hardest workers.
I agree. That is a phenomenal idea.
And it shows why I'm not working at CBS, because they don't have that kind of foresight.
Yeah, no, it's CBS could greatly benefit from the wisdom of Mike Phillips.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that out there. Like, I have ideas. Like, if you want them, they're available.
You're an idea man.
Yeah. Speaking of, one more before we close this out. Next year, NBC has the big game again, and they have the Olympics coming, so they're gonna be very tricky here to find something, because they're gonna have the Olympics coming afterwards. It's not gonna be a typical launch. So, what would you do with the post Super Bowl slot?
Let's see here. So I'm looking at NBC's current lineup, because based on our discussion, we're not going to throw something new out there. We're going to go with something that sticks. The Voice is a clear, obvious choice. I mean, that's something that they can take to the bank. People will watch. People will enjoy. Blah, blah, blah. This Is Us was a great choice. I'm going to go with, and this will probably be around season 2 at this point, of a show that I greatly enjoy since it debuted. I would get an LA-themed Super Bowl episode of Mr. Mayor starring Ted Danson to follow the Super Bowl next year.
That would be fun.
Because I believe the Super Bowl is in LA next year. Am I correct?
It is.
Yeah, so there you go. Boom, layup. You have Mr. Mayor navigating the waters of the Super Bowl being in town. Put it on right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Lighthearted comedy. Boom.
Yeah, I think it's tough with them because, obviously they have the Olympics and there's going to be a lot of Olympic programming. So, you're looking for something, in my opinion, where you're like, okay, we're going to put an episode out, we'll put another episode out, and we got to ask people to hold on for 2 weeks because we have all the Olympics in prime time. So it's a tricky spot to try to figure out what to put there.
Well, aren't the Olympics going to be in LA as well?
No, they're not going to be in LA. They're going to be, I think this is winter games. I think they're actually, in
Oh,
Beijing.
Okay. Okay, never mind. But yeah, that's where I would go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing This Is Us again. If it's still, like, peaking, that's possible. I think I could see them if they have, like, one of these, like, maybe like an Ellen's Game of Games, maybe something like that could be fun, something lighthearted, fair. Like maybe like Weakest Link if they're on the game show kick. I think in terms of the original content, maybe one of the Chicago shows also be something I could see. Okay, maybe we'll just put something established in there and just get an audience for it.
I mean, that's a good choice too.
Yeah, I think The Voice though would probably be my leader, depending on like when they're gonna run the episodes.
Like I said, Voice is a safe choice. People will watch. They'll do fine. It'll be what it'll be. You're not going to get anything new. You're not going to get anything you don't expect. It would be a safe choice.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up their lineup right now so I can see like what options they have on there because it's tough because I'm just trying to go off hands. I'm not a big NBC viewer, so I'm looking at this list right now on my site here. I pulled up on good old TV Line because I'm looking here like Superstore would have been fun, but the show is getting canceled. Mr. Mayor, I like your take there. I think that's going to be fun. I think maybe The Voice, maybe like The Wall, like the game show that LeBron produces. That's one I could see maybe.
No, you know what they could also do, and that's run an SNL, and you have a brand new episode of SNL with a football host.
That's also interesting too.
Like a special Sunday edition of, and you do like a mini episode. You don't have to do the full hour and a half because it'd be tough.
Yeah, do like maybe I'd say the other one I could think of maybe Zoe's extraordinary playlist. I feel like that's sort of the light-hearted thematic. You could easily sneak a Super Bowl themed episode in there.
Yeah, that'd be a good choice too.
Yeah, so they got some options. We'll just see how they go. Alan, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, I'll be on social media. Give us some of the stuff you're up to.
I'm up to the Alan Austin Show will be making its grand return to YouTube in the coming weeks. Stay tuned for that. I'm also doing a podcast called American Scene, where we discuss films with American in the title and what they mean to America and the culture, values, and so on. And you can follow that on Instagram at American Scene Pod. You can follow me on Instagram, Alan Austin Sports, on Twitter, Alan_Austin_. And connect with me. Let me know if you think my opinions are terrible. I'm open to that kind of critique.
All right, Alan, I'll definitely let people know to do that. Thanks again.
No, thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure.